You know, there comes a time in a critic's life that there is a show that breaks them emotionally and morally. Now, people have those types of shows. There's South Park, there's Family Guy, but Netflix seems to take that one to the next fucking level. And I'm sorry if I'm going to be using expletives in this review, but it has to be said. Big Mouth fucking sucks.
Hello?
Oh, good evening.
Are you the puberty fairy?
The fuck did you just call me?
The puberty fairy?
I'm the hormone monster. I'm just here to give your friend a nocturnal emission.
How come in all these videos, puberty for boys is like...
So what is Big Mouth? Well, Big Mouth is a brand new show on Netflix. It's an animated TV show about prepubescent teens going through puberty, which could have led to some very awkward comedy, could have been something very fun to watch. But in practice, for such a neat concept, in practice, it's just terrible. The acting in this one is solid, I'll give it that. There's some genuinely good voice cast talent, including Jordan Peele and Maya Rudolph and Nick Kroll. There's some talented voice actors in this one. However, this show squanders in 3 different areas. The first one is animation. Animation-wise, it looks ugly. Like, really ugly. It's not as bad as, say, Mr. Pickles or anything like that, but it's so bad that the human characters look like fucking ducks. Just take a look at the pictures. Yeah, that's just scary. Why do they look like ducks? Although on the positive side for the character design, I do like the hormone monsters, I guess. Oh yeah, that's another thing we should talk about too, is the hormone monsters. See, this show tries to go for the, what would happen if, the Inside Out characters pushed the puberty button at the end of Inside Out. And so they personify puberty as these hormone monsters, both individually for men and women. Basically, they're kind of the Jiminy Crickets, if you will, of puberty, but they're more obscene. And that leads to the second problem with this show, the writing. The writing for this show is so cringeworthy. There's parts of the show where they want to make a political statement, but it's so ham-fisted in this show that I can't even bring myself to actually agree with anything that they're saying. It's like they want to be South Park, but here's the thing. South Park never really takes a side in a lot of its own political issues. It presents both sides of the spectrum in their most extreme circumstances. However, Big Mouth does not do that. They present it as a cut and dry, this is what we think. So it's not really a good commentary if all you're going to present is one side of the issue. And it's constantly like this. And parts of the dialogue for these types of messages are very, very ham-fisted. However, there is a portion towards the end where it kind of works. But for the most part, the dialogue is cringy. There's even a section in the first episode where the parents of one of the kids, Nick, I believe, is being talked to about, puberty and all that. But they get into such graphic detail that I'm just wondering to myself, who in their right mind, as an adult, would ever talk to their 13-year-old child like that? But this is where we get into another area of territory. The explicit graphicness of this show. Now, I have no problem with graphical violence, okay? If they're adults, I'm fine with it. However, the kids, they're just as bad. There's one episode in particular where one of the girls, I can't remember her name, she pretty much takes a mirror, puts it down between her legs, and starts talking to her vajayjay. Or her vagina. We'll just call it vagina, okay? Whatever. But seriously, like, even the vagina just talks to her. It's weird. There's even parts of this whole show where there's nothing but talking dicks. Talking dicks! Seriously, creators? I mean, already, you're already making me question your creative abilities at this point. Because not only did you show, I mean, granted, it's not a real thing. It's not, it's a cartoon, obviously. But the context is still there. You're still showing a prepubescent penis and a prepubescent vagina. People who are 13, by the way, in the show, they are 13 years old. So that makes me question, how am I supposed to take your message about puberty and going through puberty seriously if you're going to graphically show pubic parts of prepubescent teenagers? You just can't do that. You just can't. That's almost, it almost becomes to the line of child pornography at that point. Granted, it's not too graphic. It's a cartoon after all. But again, I still question the creators, why put it in there? Did you want to put it in for shock value? I have no idea. And let's get to the characters. The characters in this one is just, the first half of the show is so unbearable. The first half. Even almost like a fourth of the way through the first episode, I wanted to hang myself out my own window. Because it was just so bad. The characters are not interesting. They're not entertaining. They don't have any sort of discernible arcs or character to them. The voice cast, while trying their best, really can't make the dialogue work for most of these characters. And let's get to those voice actors real quick. Go back to them. They're great voice actors. But all I could hear is adults. At least in South Park, they actually have the creators voice these characters and they sound like fucking kids. This show, all I can think about is them sounding like adults at 13 years old. They're adults. They sound like adults. That should not be a thing. It makes me confused in many, many, many different ways. And one minor problem I also found with the show is that audially, there will be times where it sounds like, you know, the audio for this room. But at other points, it sounds like, you know, regular studio quality recording. It's kind of distracting a lot of the times, and it pulls me out of the story. And while the show does kind of get better over time, it just doesn't fully get there. It meanders too much by certain side stories, and there's even side stories that don't even get resolved. There's, as I said before, the animation's terrible. Good lord. This show has so many problems. I think if you were to tone down the hormone monsters just a bit, you know, and not make them so fucking vulgar, I probably would not have had a problem with some of the show. But to be honest, it's just I don't know why the show was made. Honestly, it's just the same as I feel with the Emoji Movie. I would actually argue that this whole show is worse than the Emoji Movie. Worse. I'm giving Big Mouth a big fat D-. And don't take that as a dick joke. That's not what I intended for that at all. Oh. What's this? Oh, shit. Well, I lost a bet a couple days ago, and, I gotta watch this movie. Well, I'll see you next time. Peace.